9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Manchester
1,
United have
0.
reached the promised land.
Yes, how are you all doing? Sam here, live United People's TV. It's Tuesday, the 18th of October, 9:33, bang on time. Well, it depends if you're an OG or not. But look, how are we all doing? Monday yesterday was a bit of a full assessment of the Newcastle game. But now with the games coming thick and fast, we play again tomorrow. We play against Spurs. And then as soon as that's finished, we've got a couple of days until we play Chelsea. It's probably the biggest week we've had fixtures-wise so far, given what's happening this season, given how tough this race for the top four is going to be. And I'm going to speak about the Spurs game in a little bit. I'm going to focus on Rafael Leao, though, to start with. The 23-year-old Portuguese striker, attacker, winger. Let's just call him an attacker. Fabrizio Romano said that Manchester United had sent scouts to watch him in action. So we're going to have a conversation about him this morning. And I'll tell you what, I'm definitely planning. I was thinking about it this morning, actually. Over the World Cup, interest in Manchester United, understandably, dims. So what I think I'm going to do during that World Cup is really hyper-focus on a striker and a January signing. I'm going to take a look at the players that we're linked with. We can do profiles on them, scouting reports. I'm looking forward to doing that. And I think it will be... I like looking ahead here on United People's TV. You'll remember when... after we got pumped, was it by City? And we went into the international break with Solskjaer. And I said, look, he needs to be sacked. It's reached the point of no return now. The club didn't do anything for 2 weeks and we sacked him when we came back against Watford. During that 2 week period was when I did my videos on Ralph Rangnick. Brendan Rodgers. I did one on Brendan Rodgers as well. Remember that. But look, let's speak about Rafael Leao. I'll answer all your questions, as many of the questions as I can in the comments below. But who's down here from the members gang? Let's have a look. Anton, good morning to you. I can see you down there. Paula, Matt, Ruben, Vicky, Carl, T, I can see you there. And Josh as well. Asan, Nashman Red, how you doing, man? Sigmund, Santa Sigmund, he's here. Sashi watching the whole way from Japan as well. One of the OGs of the channel. Sam Chiang. Anuj, I can see you there too. Good morning. Benson, Freddie, Stephen Reacts. Who's on Facebook? We've got Neo on Facebook. Not that Neo, maybe. Teresa, we've got Abdul. Good morning to all of you. Shamil, Ian Cartwright, and Sar. Good morning to all of you. Nice to see you here. Honestly, every single day I could just, I don't know, speak about 30, 40 different names. Ian, good morning to you. 49 years young. Everyone wish Ian a happy birthday. Look at that. Sometimes you catch my attention. I give you a little birthday shout out. What more could you want? I'm sure Rube will give you a shout out as well. But today, of course, as you know, is Tuesday. And the only thing that happens on a Tuesday that's important is the podcast comes out. I mean, obviously, I've just dropped a link to the podcast in the comments there. It's me, Neil, Matt, and Bao. And we talk through Omania. We talk through Newcastle. And there's a real focus on the finishing of United. And that, in my opinion, that problem I can see developing at the club. I think the players are trying a little bit too hard to feed Ronaldo at the expense of better and smarter opportunities. And it's not just that Newcastle game. I've been seeing this develop for a long, long time. And I'm past the point of caring if there's somebody who's just in the comments blindly defending Ronaldo and refusing to accept any criticism of him. So, yeah, I'm past that point. T, of course, it was your birthday at the weekend. Let's not forget about T. Big up to the Aussie man. And look, in Gungshi's here. We've got a full house here this morning. Good morning to everyone. Look at that. And look, we can talk transfers. I don't particularly like focusing too much on transfers when there's so much going on in terms of games and stories and continuing and development. But I also, at the same time, I think there's real clarity. In my opinion, now you might disagree with this, and I've already disagreed with a few people on this. I think there's real clarity on what Ten Hag will want in this transfer window coming up in January. And it's a striker. It is a striker. It's not as if we're looking at what this United team needs over the next few windows. Yeah, we need a lot more than a striker. We need another creative midfielder. I think we need another right back. We need another striker for sure. There's other areas that we do need to strengthen. But in terms of what we need in January, we need a goal scorer. Now, Rafael Leao, we'll speak about him now. I don't particularly think he fits that profile of the sort of player that you're thinking of, that clinical finisher, that person who's a number 9 who will stay in the box, because far from it. That's not really who Rafael Leao is. Now, it's Fabrizio Romano who said that Manchester United have sent scouts to Italy to watch Rafael Leao in action. And we've obviously been linked with Cody Gakpo. And I think from a profile perspective, there's a lot of similarities between Rafael Leao and Cody Gakpo. Chris, I actually said this on the podcast yesterday. We do need a Javier Hernandez. I'm not sure if any of you remember when we signed him from Guadalajara. We signed him just before the World Cup, and then he went on to have an absolute stonker at the World Cup. And then he came in and scored by kicking the ball against his own head against Chelsea in the Community Shield. John, you're saying, look, if Ronaldo leaves, we might need 2 strikers. You can't rule out the fact that Ronaldo might leave in January. You really, really can't. There might be a Champions League team that comes in, that's in the knockout stages, that Ronaldo wants to move to after having the World Cup, maybe has a great World Cup, stock goes up a little bit. You can't rule that out. But, I mean, we're lacking options at the moment, let alone if you let Ronaldo go in January as well. And you're saying Leao would be a good understudy for Bruno. I wouldn't really say he's an understudy for Bruno in the same way that I wouldn't particularly say he's a striker, because he's not really. If we like Rafael Leao, he is somebody who has definitely developed massively over the last couple of years. AC Milan winning the title. He was a really important player in that title-winning campaign. In that Portugal team, if we're looking at, I thought about this earlier, actually. If we're looking at players whose profiles are really going to sort of rise during the World Cup, I think Cody Gakpo, I think he is one player who he's part of the starting 11 for this Netherlands team, which has gone on a really good run, qualified for the World Cup in great form, and he's been starting and scoring for the Netherlands side. Rafael Leao, this Portugal side is so spoilt with options, like Bernardo Silva, Diogo Jota, and Ronaldo, I think, are their main 3. He's only coming off the bench. So I don't actually know how much game time he's going to get at the World Cup. And as Ant says down there, if you're looking at Rafael's career stats, right? If you're looking at him in the last 2 seasons, he's played pretty much exclusively on the left wing for AC Milan. But overall in his career, you know, he started off as a centre forward. He can and he has played in different positions, but he really is very much a left winger for AC Milan. Not actually sure where he plays for Portugal, where he comes on. But in terms of what Manchester United need, we need a central player. Now, at the age that Rafael Leao is, and the fact that he has played striker before, if we're scouting him, maybe we're scouting him and thinking, right, okay, could we push him back towards playing in the middle? Because he's somebody who loves to take someone on. He gets past people. He's powerful. He's athletic. He does have a bit of flair to him. He does have some end product to him. Oh, that's a good point, actually. Jota is injured. Yeah, Jota might be out of the World Cup. Oh, I forgot about that. But what's your take on Rafael Leao? First and foremost, hella expensive. Now, transfer market has got his price down there as 63 million. AC Milan are chasing the Serie A title again, having won it. Was it last year? I think they won it. 3 points off Napoli at the top of Serie A at the moment. The idea that they're going to sell someone like Rafael Leao mid-season would be a bit strange. Do you not think? But what's your take on Leao as an option? I'll read a few of your comments out, and then we'll go on. We'll take a little bit of a look at his stats, and then we'll have a conversation about Cody Gakpo, because I think if you're trying to look at Leao, then you've got to be having a conversation about Gakpo as well. What you're saying down here, why Leao? We need a centre forward and not one for the left wing. Stefan, I imagine that's probably why we're scouting him, because he has played through the middle before. So the question from Ten Hag will be, okay, right, I know you can play on the left wing, but does he have the capability of playing through the middle? What's he like when he comes into central positions? I mean, that's exactly what scouting is about. You watch a player and you try to identify whether or not that player fits the profile that you want. And Erik Ten Hag scout. And honestly, who the hell are the scouts? We sacked both of our chief ones. I have no idea who our scouts are. Chugwama is saying, look, we are yet to scout a proper centre forward. Why could that be? We seem to be obsessed with wingers. I think with Erik Ten Hag, I said this in the podcast. I wonder whether we're going to sign a proper number 9. I kind of still stand by the fact that I think Christopher Nkunku probably would have been perfect. Somebody who does play through the middle, can play as a supporting striker, can play as a centre forward, can play as a number 10, more than comfortable drifting wide when necessary, and has the versatility and the quality and the end product to do it through the middle. But it looks like Christopher Nkunku's going Chelsea because Chelsea have moved fast and decisively, and because their owner doesn't really seem to care how much he spends and who he spends it on. Corey, you're saying Rafael Leao is basically just Rashford, but slightly better. Great option. You can also convert, but the price isn't realistic down there. What else are you saying down there? We can't afford 63 quid. Anthony, you're saying leave it. We need a number 9. And Ivan Tovey, man. Apparently Fabrizio's just tweeted about Leao. So let me go and have a look at this then. Let me see if someone's lying to me in the commenting, because people love doing that during the summer. Let's see if we've got. I don't think you're a liar. So look, I don't know why you'd lie. Oh, look at that. Just literally, isn't that good? That's why we do things here live on United People's TV. What's he said? Rafael Leao update. AC AC Milan update. Sorry, Rafael Leao update. AC Milan board will meet with his father to discuss about the contract situation. There will be a new contract proposed in the next few days. Current deal expires in 2024, and Milan director Masada said, "We're confident that he will sign a new deal." Well, that might cut this conversation short. 150 mil. It's not happening. Absolutely not happening. Stephen, quite a few of you are saying this, and I'm looking forward to this. Anybody here who's been a member of the channel or a subscriber of the channel for a long enough time will know that I've got a series called Full Stories, where I like to take a look at the full story linking a player to Manchester United, where have the stories come from, where have they developed from? And inside that, separately, actually, I can do scouting reports. I did quite a lot of them during the summer, and I'm definitely going to be doing quite a few of them during the World Cup. I think that's going to be my main content strand during the World Cup, is doing some in-depth full stories, looking at all the strikers, because effectively after the World Cup, it's the January transfer window, and we'll have a month with no Premier League football. So I want to focus on all the options we've got. Now, Rafael Leao, look, if Fabrizio Romano's right and AC Milan are going to be signing a new deal with him, then, well, he's off the cards. But we can have a conversation about Ivan Toney. Look at the full story behind the links with him and Manchester United. Because Ivan Toney is a player, man, he's developed really, really well. Really, really well. Stone 420. João Felix is not going to happen. And I don't know why and I keep saying this, Ant's mentioned him a few times. Anybody who keeps talking about Lisandro Martinez, I don't see the point of it. Now, maybe you can actually put Rafael Leao in the same category as that. But João Felix, I think he's got like a 350 million euro release clause. They paid like 10 million euros for him when he was a teenager? Nah, no chance there. Fitness Balance, you're saying we need to look somewhere else for a striker. He will be too expensive. Quite a few of you down there mentioning Jonathan David as well. He was obviously Jonathan David from Lille. I spoke about him during the summer, and we'll speak about him again. I've already done a video. We talk about Gonzalo Lopez. That's a player we'd like to watch at the World Cup. We can talk about Ivan Toney. We can talk about Jonathan David, and you'll know that quite a few of these players, there's a lot of similarities to the profile of them. Can play in the press well. Obviously can play through the middle correctly as an actual striker. Stephen, you're saying Toney for me. Who are you all saying? Everyone type in a name. Just one name right now. If you could choose that striker who we're going to sign in January, and it's what I mean. Be realistic. Don't just throw Lewandowski in the comments. Don't waste my time. Don't waste your time. A genuine, realistic option that could happen in January, because I think that we have to be going for it. We've heard this. We've heard this quite a while ago. Message from Manchester United remains the same. The focus is on next summer. And I think that's the absolute truth. The focus will be on next summer. But Erik Ten Hag has always talked about opportunities. If there's an opportunity in the market, we need to go and grab it. And I always compare it to the situation with Liverpool and Luis Diaz. It was not something they anticipated on doing in January, but they took a step 6 months early to help their season, They still lost. But then be secure their player ahead of other people, which is exactly what Chelsea are doing with Christopher Nkunku. But let me go down here, right? I've just asked you in the comments, everyone fire in one name, and let me see who you're saying. Right, Matt, you're saying Tony. James, Saul, you're all saying the same one as well. I want goals. You're saying Gakpo. Victor Osimhen. I imagine we can put Victor Osimhen. Look, if Fabrizio's right and his release clause is 150 million, then we can probably just say Rafael Leao. Well, we might be able to scout him, but that's not really going to happen. Jonathan, you're saying realistically we have no money. Yeah, I do think a lot of what happens in January will depend on outgoings. Wan-Bissaka's out for the long term. I don't even know if he's going to be fit to be sold in January if we try. Van der Beek, you might not like it, but Van der Beek doesn't have a future at the club. Van der Beek's going to go down as one of those what-if signings, and a massive what-if. And that's just going to be the end of it. And yeah, Ronaldo, you don't really know what's going to be happening with him. Osimhen or Tony, Jonathan David, Gungshi, you're saying Tony. Derek, you're saying Tony. Jonathan David, Gakpo. Jonathan David, Tony would cost upwards of 70. I don't think he would cost upwards of 70, but he would obviously have the Premier League tax, the English tax, and the Manchester United tax all on top of each other. And we don't need any more taxes in England right now, I'll tell you that. Gakpo or Tony, I'll be honest, two of them, they're the two names that are cropping up the most down there. Jonathan David and Ivan Toney. So I'll definitely be doing videos and profiling both of those players. But I think there's more that we can be doing as well. Stone, you're down there. Charlie McNeil is free. Yes, I know that. People, I've seen quite a few people now trying to get angry towards Erik Ten Hag, saying, "Oh, why are you just playing Fred? Why aren't you just throwing Zidane, Ballon, blah blah blah? What have you got to lose?" And it's so easy. And our greatest ever academy side was 1992. You know what it is, class of 92. And the only reason that succeeded is because it was brought into a team that was winning, that had Cantona, that had Keane, that had Bruce, that had all these icons in this team with the most iconic manager in the world when United were on the way up and winning. That's where these kids thrived and blossomed. Chucking kids in situations like this, it might be what you want to see, but the majority of them are going to sink. And I think that my point here is just don't start pointing the finger at Ten Hag, because he's not using this dude has built his entire career off using youth team players and using them correctly. So I absolutely trust his judgment on when to use them and when not to use them. And I'm not going to start questioning that now. If you want to, that's your decision. I reckon it'll be a loan move at best for a striker, a short-term fix until the summer. Chris, it's not an unreasonable suggestion. And I think United will be looking at the loan market. I don't really know who will be available on loan that could actually do a job, but let's have a look. Is Gungshi down there? Yeah, can we actually sign up Gungshi? Gungshi, can you play centre forward? You strike me as a goalkeeper. A pair of safe hands. You can always trust Gungshi's behind you there. What's he doing down there? He's there. Yeah, he is there. Dropping 10 gifted memberships into the comments. What an absolute legend. # secret credit card. Mate, your secret credit card must be amazing. Let me see who the 10 lucky people here today. Lucia Chan, you've been given one. Chris Brown. Not that Chris Brown. Pat B, you've got one as well. Very nice. Elvis Cambius, you've got one. The Favix. Abayomi, you've got one. Hassan. Nick. Pramod. And what else we got down here? I think that's it. Congratulations to all of you. And everybody say thank you very much to the main man himself, Gungshi. What a legend. Favix, if we can get that, I'll give a shirt away. Let's do that. If we can get to 2,000, I'll give a shirt away. Why not? Give one of those away. I like doing giveaways. What else are we saying down here in the comments? Kolak from Rangers. We have one or two kids who are already proven themselves. Zidane Iqbal, of course, has come through. I think is playing for Iraq, isn't he? First British Asian, I think, to represent Manchester United as well. Hannibal, he's obviously gone back on loan to Birmingham, but he broke through with the Tunisia team. That'd be good. That'd be a cracking. A Henrik Larsson type signing. If you play young players too much before they're ready, you can do it. Trust me, I want to see that there is nothing more enjoyable as a Manchester United fan than watching a young player come through and blossom. Because you get to watch the growth of a star. I don't think anything beats it. Look, I loved watching Robin van Persie, and I loved watching him come into that team where we lost the league title on goal difference, and we had the best striker in the league, and just it was amazing. It was a privilege to watch that. But give me a young 18-year-old Rooney or Ronaldo any day of the week. I'd much rather watch the growth of a player into a star than buying an established star. It's just not. It's not United, in my opinion, in terms of my memories of Manchester United and the players that I've enjoyed watching the most. I'd much rather sign young talents that we can see blossom at Old Trafford, that they can use Old Trafford as their canvas. That's my own opinion, but yeah, I'm sure you can disagree with that. Some of you will. Paul, how you doing, buddy? Recognize the name, I think. Let me know where you're watching from. I'll try and give you a shout out. McNeil is Rashford's age when he came in. Rashford came in because Martial got an injury in the warm-up and he got an opportunity and he took it. McNeil, I'm sure he will get an opportunity, right? At some point, he'll get an opportunity. He's already been on the bench, hasn't he? Kobbie Mainoo was on the bench against Newcastle at the weekend. Obviously, a couple of injuries and sort of allowed that opportunity, but he was part of the matchday squad, and it's step one. It's the next it's the next step for Kobbie Mainoo. Mate, watch out in the next couple of years. He's a player who physically, whenever you watch youth team football, there's certain individuals that you watch and you go, you're way too good for that level. Like physically, he's above that level. From a maturity perspective, he's above that level. And Kobbie Mainoo just looks like he could probably cope by playing in the League Cup games. Remember, in January, stuff's going to start getting crazy at Manchester United because of the World Cup. I think only the third round of the League Cup happens before January, which means that come January, we're going to have the FA Cup starting, the League Cup starting, the Premier League continuing, and depending on what's going on in the Europa League, Manchester United having Europa League games. We really are going to be having games every 3 to 4 days. And we will be seeing youth team players get their opportunities. Trust me. So it's a case of when and not if this season. And my point here is just because you're frustrated with the draw, don't just start shouting at Erik Ten Hag because he's not bringing on Garnacho for the last 10 minutes. It's a weird flex, in my opinion. But, I mean, I had this argument with Matt on the podcast, actually, about youth team players, because he's very much of the opinion of, like, why not just throw the youth team on? But it has its pros and cons. So, Matt, if you're watching, it's a good argument. But yeah, as I said before, one more little shout out there. Honestly, have a listen to the podcast. I love the podcast. It's so different to everything that I do. I try to make it a little bit unique. It's the only place you can listen to it. I don't put it out as a video on YouTube or anywhere else. If you want to listen to the podcast, you listen to the podcast. Yeah, it's a bit old school. I like doing it. I hope it can continue to be successful. I think we got into the top 20 UK sports podcasts at one point, which blew my mind. So anybody who hasn't listened to it, please go and listen to it. And please as well, drop a 5-star review on it, because it really helps the podcast. It really, really does. So thank you, everyone who has been listening to the podcast so far. It's a good episode this week. Let me see. I'm going to read a few of your comments out down here. Killian, what are you doing down here? Mbappe, man. You can join in. We need a right back, a striker, and a midfielder. Bruno Fernandes isn't good enough. Yeah, Bruno Fernandes is... I thought Bruno had been playing all right this season. I'll be honest. I think he'd been doing quite well in the captain's role. I thought he just quietly linked the team together. But in Newcastle, it's when the frustrations come with draws, then you start really putting a spotlight on individuals. And Bruno really got the scorn of a lot of United fans because he can be a wasteful player because of the position he's in. But let's find down here. No notification, says Klein. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Game of Beans is saying, podcast is great. It's fun listening to you guys. Interaction reminds me of when I used to... mate, I'm really glad you said that comment, because that's the exact vibe. Is that's what we want. I want it to just sound like it's just for United fans just sitting around a table, having a drink, having a conversation about United, because that's exactly what it is. So big up to you for that comment there. But yeah, before I got distracted there for 5-10 minutes, I think if you even have we're talking about Rafael Leao here this morning, because Fabrizio Romano said that Manchester United had sent scouts to watch him in action. So we had a conversation there. Fabrizio Romano has just tweeted whilst we're live saying, look, they're trying to get him to sign a new deal. I imagine that's before the World Cup, but he's already got a release clause of 150 million. That's a lot of dough. That is a lot of dough. But you can't really have a conversation about Rafael Leao and not have a conversation about Cody Gakpo. From a financial perspective, you're probably looking about half the price, I think, of Rafael Leao. Cody Gakpo has a release clause in his contract. I spoke to Rick Elfrink about Cody Gakpo like 3-4 months ago. The chief writer, I think, of, is it Eindhoven Daily? I think that's it. And he said he's got a release clause in the region of 30 to 40 million euros. Erik Ten Hag knows him. Again, of course, we should not just be signing Eredivisie players, Dutch players, or former Ajax players. That is not a sustainable scouting model. But Cody Gakpo's got some real talent. And I think with Gakpo, the thing that's impressed me the most is how well he's done since the start of this season. Because he got pushed into the spotlight with the links to Man United, linked to move with Leeds and everything else like there. And then Gakpo has taken to it. Like, let's have a quick look at his stats this season. They really are fantastic. Well, let me pull these up. And I think that's sort of a testament to his A, ability, and B, sort of attitude, and the fact that he's taken to the pressure. Because look, let me go down here. Where do I get his stats from? Cody Gakpo. There. Come on. Who scored? I think you've got him, haven't you? There we go. Oof. That really is impressive. So, Cody Gakpo stats here so far this season. We go here. In 30 appearances, 18 goals and 10 assists. In the Eredivisie, 9 goals and 7 assists in 10 games. He's really, really impressing. Gakpo is somebody who is definitely raw. Absolutely. But look at that as a final product. Of course, it's coming from the Eredivisie. But he's also doing it with the Netherlands as well. World Cup qualification, 3 appearances, 1 goal and assist. UEFA Nations League, 3 appearances, 2 goals and an assist. He's forced his way into that Dutch team. I think we're going to be seeing... He is one player I really, really want to watch at the World Cup. I'm really fascinated to see how he takes to that stage. Carl, you're saying, look, he's almost like Gakpo's making a point that United should have signed me. But I think the reason I'm impressed is because if Gakpo could have taken this summer and the knockback in a negative way, couldn't he? He's like, oh, didn't get to move to United, didn't get moved to the Premier League. I'm just going to sulk about it. But instead, he's properly gone like head down, and he's nailing it. He's absolutely nailing it. Really impressive start to the season from him. Of course, it's in the area. Comes with caveats, of course it does. But I personally think Gakpo has to be one to... I mean, he already was one to watch, but he absolutely has to be one to watch in the World Cup. Jonathan, you're not wrong there. Premier League tax, United tax, and World Cup. There's going to be all sorts of taxes on any signing, really, that's made after the World Cup. But I'll be interested to see what goes on with Gakpo now. But, of course, the message is correct as well about Gakpo. He is a left winger. He can play through them. He's got similarity to Leao. And look, and that's why I feel like the Leao, United scouting Leao makes sense. There's a lot of profile similarities between Gakpo and between Rafael Leao. And I'm sure there's going to be other players that we link with too. And you're saying if we wait until after the World Cup, we won't be able to afford him. Imagine you're PSV and you're sitting here with Gakpo having the season that he's having, and a club comes in with a 30-40 million pound bid for him and you accept it. You're absolute fools. There's no way that PSV accept that before the World Cup. I don't think so anyway. Now, of course, you could say, well, what if he gets injured? Then his price is going to go down. Yeah, that might happen. But I would be very surprised if PSV agreed a deal with anybody for Rafael Leao. Sorry, for Gakpo before the World Cup. It would be a strange decision from them. I don't think that would be very forward-thinking. Tyler, what are you saying down here in the comments? I'll read a few of these out. Sam, we need a striker who gets in the box and is happy to not have the ball that much unless he can hit the back of the net. It's a really good point you made there, Tyler. Really good point you made there. We need a striker who is happy to not have the ball that much. anytime you see Ronaldo not involved in the game, Ronaldo drops like 20, 30 yards to get in the game. He doesn't like being separate. Haaland he's made it his craft, doesn't he? He doesn't care if he touches the ball like 6 times in a game, if 2 of those touches are knocking it into the back of the net. He feeds off goals and that's it. He doesn't really care that much if he's involved in the build-up. He just wants to make sure he's in the right place at the right time. It's a really good point you've made there. Jonathan, you're going a bit strong here. You're saying, look, we got the wrong player in Antony. Gakpo was the one. It's like when we bought Poborski instead of Berger after the Euros. Now, I wouldn't go as far as saying we've got the wrong player in Antony. I think that's really unfair. Remember that prior to that Newcastle game, he scored in all 3 of his first Premier League games. He is a player who can change a game on a sixpence. But at the same time, Antony, I don't know whether it's a confidence thing. I don't know whether it's because teams are simply just doubling up on him. But Antony needs to refine the confidence to skip on the outside of players because he has done it at Ajax. He naturally does cut inside. But if your only option is to cut inside, it's like Newcastle did. They had Dan Burn there. They doubled up on the inside. Antony's not going to go on the outside. And it made it very easy for them to defend against him. I do. Just look at who Gakpo's manager is. Go on, Rude. There he is. Shall I just drop him a little line? Come on. What if we pay a premium? 55. I mean, look, I don't think we're going to be spent. If I'm being completely honest, I even think 30 to 40 million as a budget is probably going to be a stretch in the January transfer window. We've got to somehow shift a couple of players off. On loan with an obligation to buy for Wan-Bissaka and Van der Beek would be 2 good moves. You might not like it about Van der Beek, but I'm a realist. I really am a realist. And I say it how I see it. See what you see. I do say how I see it. And Van der Beek, it's unfortunate. I don't know what injury he's got right now, but it's a real shame for him. And what are you saying down here? Are we looking at the wrong type? Do we actually need a big, strong striker who can hold the ball up and bring others? I mean, look, you could talk about that. You could talk about the fact that Sebastian Haller went to Ajax and played that sort of role for Ten Hag. And it worked. And arguably, that team was a bit stronger than the team that got to the Champions League semi-final in 2019-20. Obviously not, because that team got to the Champions League semi-final. I don't think that Ten Hag is looking for that. And I might be wrong, but I think he likes it. It's why he enjoys playing with Martial. I think he likes the dynamism of movement. I don't think he'll particularly want someone up there who's going to be 6'1". But again, that's where players like Cody Gakpo and Rafael Leao kind of tick both boxes. Both 6'1", 6'2", if not a little bit more. Both physically powerful people, both very athletic, both pacey, can play with their back to the goal, can hold the ball up a little bit, but neither of them really are centre forwards. They're both wingers. JJ, let's talk about potential right backs that we could go for. I'll take a look at that. As I said, the World Cup gives me an opportunity to have a full month's worth of forward-thinking content. Right, okay, now that the World Cup's on, what's going to happen after the World Cup? Well, we've got the January transfer window coming up. Who could we look at? So across the World Cup, I'll try and do as much as I can in terms of scouting reports. We can try and assess and analyze performances in games. Anybody who's got any ideas of what we should be doing over the World Cup, you can join in. I think we'll keep up the morning live streams. Why not? Because then we can talk about the stuff that happened the previous day in the World Cup, individual performances, X, Y, Z. But the traditional day-to-day content, I think I'll switch to transfer focus because I think that's going to be the best thing to do. What else are you saying down here in the comments? What right back are we getting? Because Delo needs competition, but I will speak about that as well. Takeoff, you're saying that Leao is not a Ten Hag signing. What's really wrong with Donny? Kalang, man, that is $1 million question that I don't think anybody really has the answer to. I don't think Ten Hag does. Jeez, I don't even know if Donny does. But, yeah, man, I don't think Donny, he's going to have a future at the club. Or if you're here in the comments, just take a moment just to sit and just collect yourself. And look, of course, there's some people that still have that conversation. But if that was the case, we would have seen more of Donny already. He got more minutes than anybody during the preseason. Then he just went into the background again. And then he's got an injury. So it is what it is. But look, I think transfers are going to be a really interesting conversation for us to have in a couple of weeks' time. We've got so many games coming up at the moment that we can't just get utterly distracted. But let's talk about the game coming up tomorrow. Now, you'll remember what happened last year when United played Spurs at Old Trafford. Definitely Ronaldo's best performance in a Manchester United shirt last year. That hat-trick was superb. The absolute banger from outside the box, the movement, and then Sancho squared it, and then the third goal was the header. It was just it was an elite level hat-trick. And it was a tough game. I don't really expect the game to go quite the same this time. I would love Ronaldo to be scoring a hat-trick again. But again, what I'm seeing in front of myself, Ronaldo's legs have hit the age of 37, and he's just that little bit slower. And Spurs are playing very, very well under Conte right now. I can't imagine they're going to be shipping too many chances, but maybe they will be. I don't know. Paul, you're watching from Dublin. You're saying bye, Tony. Thank you very much for Super Chat, dude. Tony would be a cracking signing. He really, really would be. Tony is a sort of player. You remember when we were linked with Sadio Mane when he was at Southampton, and everyone was like, what are we looking at players from Southampton for? Kind of turning your nose up. Went to Liverpool, became arguably their best forward of the three before he left for Bayern Munich. Ivan Toney is one of those players. Don't look at the team that he plays for. Look at the player himself. Look at the qualities that he has got and think, you know what? He really, really could do a job. And yeah, Ivan Toney, I'm definitely going to be covering him. People talking about Martial tomorrow in the comments. If Martial's fit, Martial starts. I'm going to do my predicted 11 today after Erik Ten Hag's press conference, which I think is coming up at around about noon. Let's have a look. See if there's a time on it. I don't think there's a time just yet. Pardon me. See what early team news. He's going to hold a press conference at 4 p.m. Well, never mind. I'm going to be doing my video before 4 p.m. If Martial's fit, Martial starts. If Martial's not fit, Ronaldo starts. It's as simple as that. Spurs aren't that good. Typical Italian. It depends what your definition of good football is, Stephen, because from a defensive perspective, they're extremely difficult to score against, and they are blistering on the counter-attack. I don't think Richarlison's fit to play. Kulusevski might not be fit to play. That's good news, but they still got Harry Kane, and they still got Heung-min-Son. Andy, you sent a little super chat there for a quid. You haven't said anything, though. I don't really think it's the legs. I think it's... See, Ruben, that's where I disagree completely. I think everything is up there with Ronaldo still. I just don't think his legs are capable of following that mindset that he's got at the moment. That's what I think. Got to feel bad for Martial. It could be true there are witches in the Prem. Maybe Pogba's just employed a little bit of a witch doctor again. Can't rule it out. Drop Fernandez back next to CAM. Do you mean, I don't know, and play Rashford in the hole? I don't really know what you mean there. Play him alongside No, I don't really know what you mean. What are you saying down here? I seriously think we should go for Victor Osimhen, says Ims. Hey, Ims, man, like, if we're talking about players we can't afford, Osimhen's going to be 100 mil plus minimum in January. No one's paying that. Certainly not Manchester United. Certainly not Manchester United. Lads, it's Spurs, says Hassan. Look, that was a different type of Spurs. This Spurs is far, far more difficult. We need Eriksen against Spurs, says Carl. And Jonathan, you're saying Casemiro, Scott, and Eriksen. So you bring... I'll tell you what, and I, again, spoke about this on a podcast. I'm going to keep plugging it. You're damn straight I am. And I said, you know what? I think we've underestimated the ability of Casemiro in terms of bringing the ball forward. I think the only moment of actual quality from any Marvin midfielders against Newcastle was that outside of the foot pass from Casemiro for Rashford's missed header towards the end. And maybe Casemiro, we can entrust him with bringing the ball forward a little bit more. And maybe that could be a midfield three that works against Spurs. Scott McTominay adding a little bit more steel and bite with Casemiro alongside him, continuing that steel and bite with Eriksen in front of him, being that man who really delivers that. Because Eriksen's been brilliant at connecting the defense to the attack. Been brilliant at doing that. But what we're missing at the moment is somebody who bridges the attack to scoring goals. That final pass. We're missing that. We really are missing that. Sam Lewis there with a good comment. Didn't actually quite know this. 1 yellow and the low is suspended. Is that the case? The low missing against Chelsea. That would be a fruity situation. I genuinely have no idea what we do. I imagine we're probably going to play Victor Lindelof as a right back if Diogo Dalot is missing. But that experiment, that exploded back in Ten Hag's face last time we tried that. Casemiro has more in the locker, attacking wise. That wasn't his role. But I think he does, and because we were speaking about in the podcast, I was like, look, honestly, lads, like, what's the alternative to Christian Eriksen? What's the plan B to Christian Eriksen? And I said, you know what? I think we've got to really consider the fact that maybe we bring in Scott McTominay to do some of the dirty work that Casemiro would do, allow Casemiro to play in a little bit more of an advanced role and allow him to bring it forward. I think it's worth considering. I'd say one player who's going to need to have an absolute stormer against Spurs, and I think he will. It's Lisandro Martinez. Isn't it amazing how no fucking pundit is talking about Martinez even more? They're not even mentioning him because he's just there every single week. 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. 8 out of 10. 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. It's these sorts of players that you build title-winning campaigns on. Not the players who put in 2 10 out of 10 performances and then an absolute poopy stinker and a 1 out of 10. You can't do that. You can't build titles on those sorts of players. Martinez has just been everything that we could have wanted him to be. I know Eriksen's been good, but Martinez, for me, easily the best signing that we've made. Easily. And I might be being slightly biased, but I love the bloke. Absolutely do. And I think with Harry Kane, I think Harry Kane's got 5 goals in his last 5 games. Heung-min Son. Spurs are deadly going forward and they're fast on the counter. So we're going to need the pace and the aggression of Martinez. We're really going to need him. Rafael Varane, I hope that their partnership is there again. I hope Varane's 100% fit because we're going to need both of them. It's a tough one. We all spoke about Lisandro versus Haaland, and it didn't really turn into Lisandro versus Haaland, did it? Martinez hardly really went up with the duel with Haaland. He kind of moved around him. A more interesting one might be that. But remember how deep Harry Kane drops. He kind of ends up playing like a number 10 sometimes. So he might not be able to sort of stick to him. Christian saying, love the old school United jersey. I missed a chance to buy it when it really... no, it's not from United. Don't worry about that. Anybody who wants a link to where I got it from, you let me know. Have we reached 2,000 likes, sir? Because remember I said, if we reach 2,000 likes, I'll give away a shirt. I don't think we're going to reach it. 260. I don't think we're going to reach it, lads. I don't think we're going to reach it. I don't know what that accent was about. Yeah, look, Malacia, I've spoken about Malacia at right back before because Erik Ten Hag's spoken about it. A lot of people, let's see. I'm really, really intrigued to see how that game will go. I'm going to preview the game. I'm going to run through my predicted 11 and speak about every single player in the video that's going to come out at lunchtime today. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. If you're new to United People's TV, welcome aboard. Subscribe. This is an interactive show. I'm here Monday to Friday, 9:30 a.m. UK time. And I try to answer as many of your questions as possible. There's a huge community here that's building. We've already had the first community event, didn't we? The poker tournament. I want to do something else, and there's going to be some cracking stuff coming up to Christmas. I'm thinking about it. I might reopen the arms, but for members only. Something I spoke about a while ago. I think I might get that done quite soon. That company's cancelled my order twice. Really? I'll speak to the guy. I've got the guy's number on WhatsApp. Paul, if you want, send me the order numbers, and I'll get that sorted. Was that Ghanaian accent? Oh, dear. I don't know what that was. Last man standing. This is Alex. That was a good one. FIFA. Man. I love FIFA. I don't have time to play it anymore. I want to say congratulations before we finish as well to Karim Benzema winning the Ballon d'Or. Deserved. You know what's mad? That Andy Mitten had the stat. No player outside the Premier League. No, sorry. Every single Ballon d'Or since 2008 has been won by the player that plays in La Liga. You know how mad that is? And the last player to win it playing in the Premier League? That man himself, Cristiano Ronaldo. Wow. That's a crazy, crazy stat, isn't it? In terms of where United's players finished in the Ballon d'Or, Ronaldo finished number 20. I think that's his lowest ranking since like 2005, 6 maybe. And Casemiro finished 17th. That's a really weird photo of Casemiro. It looks like he's been photoshopped onto someone else's shoulders. Maybe he hasn't. One of the best players, well, arguably the best player we've ever signed. But yeah, thought that was a bit mad. I saw this news as well. Mate, I couldn't wish Michael Carrick any more luck. I'd love him to go to Middlesbrough and absolutely smash it. Came in, he was United's interim manager. 3 games, was it 2 wins and a draw? It was away at Villarreal. I think it was Chelsea away and then Arsenal at home. I think it was 2 wins and a draw. And then he just, boom, after the Arsenal game, boom, I'm gone. And we were like, what? No. Carrick, man, go there, nail it, smash it, come back up and enjoy it. I really, really wish him the absolute best of luck. And I hope that he can become a good manager. So many people questioned whether, you know, when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his coaching staff and everybody was thrown under the bus. I think, let me check now, the League One table. Ipswich is second at the moment. Kieran McKenna currently second with Ipswich. They've been top of the league quite a lot of the year so far. He's proven he's a good coach. Michael Carrick, those 3 games at United show that he can cope with it at the top level. Don't know whether he can do it on a sustained period, but hopefully he can go to Borough and absolutely nail it. So good luck to Carrick. It was fashionable at the time, wasn't it, to throw every single member of United's coaching staff under the bus. And I'll be honest, I probably did it a little bit as well. I think we were all feeling really frustrated at that point. He was great for those 3 games. He was great for those 3 games. You're allowed to say that. Red Devil saying Kieran McKenna's loved in Ipswich. My best mate's a Town fan. Yeah, Kieran McKenna's doing really well, and I hope. I wish both of them the best of luck. But look, that was a really interesting conversation there this morning about Rafael Leao. We talked about him. We talked about Cody Gakpo, which one we think would be better. Ivan Toney, he's definitely the player who the majority of you would like. So I'm definitely going to do Ivan Toney's sort of full story. I'll do an Ivan Toney scouting report. We can look at the profile of the player. I'll do the same thing for Jonathan David. I'll definitely do the same thing for Gonzalo Lopez. There's 3 strikers that we can take a look at. But thank you all for joining in. Big up to Gungshi. All 10 of you who got gifted a membership by Gungshi. What an absolute legend of the game he really, really is. And I hope his secret credit card is endless, because he's just making the community bigger and better. But thank you all for joining in. I'll be here tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Make sure you check out my starting 11 video for the Spurs game. That's going out. Games are coming thick and fast. I think we needed it after the Newcastle game, didn't we? And I hope that we can bury that with a win against Spurs, because that'll be a big, big win. Take it easy, everyone. Have a cracking day.